too. One thing that I want to emphasize to businesses opening up is to have your COVID preparedness plan created and have that on site. If you want to submit it to Crow Wing County, you can, and they are offering their service to review plans and offer feedback to help with any discretionary items or just to make it better. So that is a free service, and I'll follow up all that information afterwards to everyone also. What we're asking for people to do is to introduce yourself using the chat feature at the bottom of the screen. So if you want to just type in your name and your business, everyone can see who everyone is here and what business they're representing. We're also asking everyone to stay muted during the discussion so that we don't have a lot of background noise while the speakers are presenting their information. If you have a question like you would like to direct to them, certainly use the chat feature, and we will ask the questions and get everyone answered for you. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Biff Ohm. He has Zeizer's store in Nisswa, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with. And then he also has another business that you might not be as familiar with. He has the Minnesota Nice Enough. And also today we have Aaron Kriesel, and Aaron has Honey Boutique in Cross Lake. And then we have Chris Smith. Chris has a new business in downtown Brainerd called Minnesota Makerspace. And then he also has a graphic design business called Deep Mind Design. So we're gonna let Biff take the floor first, and he's gonna share with you his e-commerce background and knowledge and his do's and don'ts and tricks of the trade. And then we'll pass it on to Aaron, and then Chris will follow up, and we'll have open forum questions at the very end also. So if you have any questions while the speaker is speaking, just type them into the chat feature. Take it away, Biff.
Awesome. Can everyone hear me? I always get nervous on this because we can't hear ourselves. We can just hear everybody else. So if you're having issues hearing me, let me know. I can adjust that. I'm pretty tech savvy. So I want to just get started by just saying thank you. I'm super excited to be here. I have done things in e-commerce. There is a website I think it's called the Way Back, and you can actually find your first website. And I published my first website in 1998. So it's been a little over 2 decades since I launched my first one. Just to give a little bit of background about who I am and kind of how I operate, because I always find that insight useful, is I operate by really on all my businesses. My personal motivating objective is the only way that I achieve success is by creating success for others. So I really see the e-commerce as simply another tool in my arsenal to better serve my customers. So, and this will make sense as I go forward and kind of talk to you guys and just give you a little insight into my story. There is no one way, and there is no absolute right way to do e-commerce in my experience. There are sometimes better ways, but it's a lot of experimentation. It's looking at your numbers, it's testing things, and then seeing what works and being super flexible to jump on those things that work and really leverage them. So I do have 2 businesses. One is a brick and mortar, is Zeizer's here in beautiful downtown Nisswa. We sell a very eclectic range of items. So for us, we do not use traditional e-commerce platform for that store. The only thing that we sell quantity on like an e-commerce site are gift certificates, only because we find strategizing that e-commerce is really best for those people who are selling things that you can sell volume of and repeated day after day. With e-commerce, my experience is in the traditional sense, and when I say the traditional sense, I would say like Amazon, or you could think specialty stores like I sell a lot of kitchens, so who I would be directly competing with would be like a Williams Sonoma. It could be more specialized like that. But we change our product out so often, and really how we leverage at Zeizer's is we sell items that you aren't going to find traditionally online. We represent a lot of makers, a lot of smaller companies, and then we also Yeah, and that you're not going to find in big box stores. So I'll go through that, how we do sell virtually, and there's a great method to do it, but we don't use e-commerce because there is a lot of setup. And I've used a ton of e-commerce sites. I wrote some down here that I'm gonna so I can jog my memory. But I've used Squarespace, I've used WordPress built on, I've used Shopify, I've used a ton of them. Right now, the one that we're really hot on, I love it. I actually shed a tear when I discovered this company was Webflow. And it is, you have total control to do anything on a site, and it is so robust. And otherwise, I think Shopify is a good one. It's just for us, we found it could get expensive once you add all the plugins and what you had to do it. But there is work. I don't want to sugarcoat it. To set up a website, a true e-commerce, you need to be prepared to do work. You've got to take good photographs. You've got to write copy. And that really works if you have an item that is a really key seller, and that you have a lot of inventory and you can move some volume, because there is overhead expense with that. So where I do use e-commerce in a traditional website is I use it B2B, which means I sell business to business. So my company, Minnesota Nice Enough here, one of our biggest products is sticker decals. We sell a ridiculous number of them. We manufacture them here. We've got a manufacturing facility, and we have about 120 designs, but we sell thousands of each design. So we are selling directly to other retailers through wholesale, and they have to have a password. They have to get into there to do that, but that's how we accommodate. That's where we do use a traditional e-commerce platform. And some of your businesses might work really well with it. If you have a really select niche product that you can control the inventory of, that's where I find that it works. Another thing to realize is, as you're talking with someone or you're looking at it, just understand, once you build a website, you have to have a way to drive people to that website. So I'll talk a little bit more about that, but there is another option too. You could use a third-party platform. So if you have your traditional website, you're going to either have to be familiar or hire someone who's very familiar with search engine optimization, or you're going to have a means to connect your customers with your selling platform. That's not going to just happen magically. It's not an example of if you build it, they will come. You have to be interacting with that. So in the Minnesota Nice Enough, we do not want to compete with our retail partners. They're a super critical piece of that chain. So we make the conscious choice not to sell direct to consumer there. But one platform that we use and we leverage a lot is we use a third-party platform, and Amazon would be a third-party platform. So you could sell there. We don't. We use Etsy as our third-party platform, and they actively go out and find customers for us. So, and to give you an idea, just when you're doing SEO, you need to, if you're doing that e-commerce side, you need to reach a lot of people. You will hear people talk about conversion rates, and it's super important. It means per 100 people, how many that actually come and visit your site, how many actually take action and will purchase. So Etsy is really good for us, where an average website, you could, in the gift industry, if you're getting about a 3% conversion rate, meaning out of every 100 people that 3 would actually purchase from you, that would be really good. On Etsy, I was just looking at my stats for the last week. I had 1,674 visitors to my store, 160 of them bought. So we had a conversion rate of 9.6%. So yes, they take a commission on that platform, but there's a ton of platforms out there that you can use that they are aggregating, that you can put your items on there, but they're doing the work to push to you. So it's an option, and it tends to work really well. Again, this is just my 2 cents. The other speakers may have different views. Just running my numbers though, for me to make it work, I either have to have very high margins and sell a little lower volume, or if you're selling items in that $30, $40 range, you need, just like your store, there's costs and there's time. You need to be able to move quite a bit of merchandise through there for it to make sense. So that said, if you are, I know we've got a lot of different businesses in here. If you are a retailer, so for Zeisers, our brick and mortar, what we do is we heavily, heavily, heavily leverage our social media. And especially with curbside, and right now where we have found tremendous success is long form Facebook Live. And how we have done it is that we actually will accumulate items and we will talk at length. And when I say long form, we shoot for 45 minutes to an hour. And just like we are here, we're engaging, and you've got to show up consistently. So we try to show up daily for those people, and we show them, and we maybe show a puzzle and we will say, we have 6 of these in stock. And then the idea for us is to make purchasing as easy and painless as possible. So when you're doing that, you could try to redirect them to an e-commerce, but there's a whole bunch of places that they could get tripped up. So what we have put together is that we have enabled that they can text us and place an order. So we have converted our landlines in our business to text lines. It goes to all of our team's phones, or it goes to our working computers, and then we can have a text conversation. So they will say, oh, I saw XYZ, or what we've had extreme success with is leveraging our experience to buy unique items. So for Mother's Day, we said, tell us what mom likes. Is there something that she is interested in? And let us personally curate that. We would curate it. We would take a picture, text it back to them. And then when they would say, yes, I'm ready to check out, they would, we would just hit a link. We send them a link, and then they would pay via Square, and they would never leave their texting app, which just versus, if you think about it, if the second you have to leave a platform, the likelihood of you actually buying something goes down directly. So I think the lowest hanging fruit we have are those customers that we have already created. So if you have an existing Facebook page, if you have an Instagram page, Instagram is great. You can sell things directly on Instagram without having to move from that platform. But that is where we have found success. And in doing that too, we have even become more of a stop, and we've heard customers say over and over and over to us again, like, this is the coolest item. I don't know that I would have checked it out, but we love it. Like it's a part of an excitement that we can actually, we can serve our customers better by our expertise of knowing things that are unique. And that's how we create success at Zeisers. We make them a gift giving superhero, or we make them more fashionable than their friends is a kind of another piece of the equation in specialty gift. So yeah, I would be happy to, well, I'm going to pass the torch. I should see where I'm at, because I'm used to speaking for like hours on length. So I've been kind of pushing, I pushed a ton of information, and just, and it's really this 3,600 foot level, staring down at it. But I guess what I'd really, really encourage is, what is your objective? If your objective is just to serve the local market, where can you meet them that they already are? And how can you do that? Like, emailing is great. And if you have an email list, that's awesome. The open rate is not that high. We are really, really hot. And when it comes to the question and answer, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have it, but we are really hot on collecting text numbers and truly and genuinely serving them on a text platform. Because think about it. How many times do you get an email? Like, I open my inbox morning and I've got 100 emails in there, and it's okay, delete, delete. I've got to reply to this, delete, 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 delete. Important with that, and especially in this time. But how many times do you delete a text if you get it? So that is the way we're leveraging the brick and mortar. And I think that would make sense to a lot of other people. I would not discourage you to do e-commerce and a website, but just understand the volume with which you have to do it. And we have a website, and websites are important, but it's more of a funnel to bring them into the store to get that one-on-one communication with, for brick and mortar versus where we are scaling things at a larger scale and reaching across the nation. But you've got to be really, really on top of your game if you're going to play in that, because it's going to cost money to have to do search engine optimization, and you're going to pay to have people find you. I'm going to end there. I won't babble. Hopefully that's short and
Chris,
concise.
excuse me, Biff, there's been two questions for you.
Okay. Yep.
Since you're just talking about the texting formatting, Chris Smith asked a question. Any recommendations for texting apps for businesses to connect to customers?
Yeah, so there's a ton of them out there. Look at the service that you're doing. And I'm trying to see Chris here in the comments. To everyone, it depends. If you're restaurant based, I am not. There are some amazing ones, and they can handle reservations and they can handle a whole bunch of things. The one I landed on is a company called Avocado. So it's like an avocado, but it's and I'll type it when we're going, and we can forward this to out. But Avocado has been great. There was some setup. There was a number of communications back and forth between the owners of it, but they walked me through, and the customer support was super, super high. To get started, you're talking about $100 a month to get started on that platform. There are cheaper ways. We actually debated adding additional cell phones and doing the cell phone number, but we truly wanted it to be an integrated platform, and we didn't want to use our own phones. And the cool thing is with Avocado, what we can do, we did a game, and I'll prepare this. I wasn't really thinking through this perfectly here, and that's the beauty of these live chats too. But I'll prepare something that you can actually test out on ours when we come to the Q&A, but we can say text a word to our number and it will start an automatic conversation. So example, we did Mother's Day, text Mother's Day to 218. I don't do that too, because I don't know that that's the keyword, but I will find one for you. But you can do that and you'll say, hey, this is Biff, and it's whoever gets flagged for that. Biff at Zeisers, thank you so much for reaching out to me. Tell me, what's your first name? I'd love to serve you better. So they typed their name in and they said, great, we're ready to get started. Tell me a couple interests or hobbies that your mom has. And then it goes down this, so it creates this whole automatic dialogue. And then by the time I can chime in as a real person, I have the information and the tools to do that. And then we ask people if they're okay. You have to opt in, just like you do email, to say, can we text you again? We have not had one. We have collected in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've collected around 400 text or cell phone numbers, and not one person has said we can't text them back. And I think as long as we don't abuse it, everyone breaks stuff. Like Facebook used to be awesome. Now it kind of stinks to be. I mean, it's okay. It has its tool, but it isn't as awesome as it used to be because marketers misbehaved on there. So I'm sharing this with great reservation because I don't want anyone to misbehave and to ruin this, because it's a trust. You have to come from a genuine place to really serve people, and we're not going to spam them, but we can categorize people too. So anyone who's in the Mother's Day, they were tagged as Mother's Day. And then I know that they have a mom, and if there's something I want to just send out to those people, I can do that. And we did contests. We gave stuff away. We've been just having fun because we know not everybody's in a place to buy right now, and that's okay. But if we can serve them with just being a place to laugh and to enjoy, that's great. And then what's the other question? Yeah.
One other question from Paula was, do you use Webflow in conjunction with WordPress or another platform?
No, Webflow is its own platform. And I love it. There's so many plugins that you need to use to get, well, in my experience, to get those, and they have them. Like Shopify is amazing. It has plugins after plugins, but you add up $20, $30, $40, and then, all these other things all of a sudden, and then you're going to pay someone to custom code so it looks beautiful. Webflow has a little bit of a learning curve. They have beautiful tutorials, but you can literally use any font. You can put things anywhere you want. It is there's a revolution going on called the no code revolution, which means that the coding is done automatically on the back end, but you can make it look any way you want. And Webflow is a real disruptor right now in the tech industry in what they're doing. Little company that has only been at it for maybe 3-4 years compared to Shopify, but man, they're lighting stuff on fire. Yeah, I've used other ones. They're great. But I'm hot on them right now. They're doing a great job. So thank you. Oh, you're muted, but thank you. Yeah, I'll mute myself now.
Thank you. Erin, we're going to pass it off to you. Erin is with Honey Boutique in Cross Lake, and she has also helped some other area businesses with their e-commerce that she can share with you too.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Erin. I co-own Honey Boutique with my mother. Before this, I've worked for a couple of boutiques in the local area, including our Door Boutique in Blue Paisley. Now, I've helped them set up and modify their website, but their success as a business is dependent on how much work they put into their own business. So for me as a startup, like, I don't have a lot of e-commerce background. I'm not in marketing. I have an English background, like a teacher's background. And for me, I just want to like put it out there that Shopify is a great platform for putting your feet in the water in terms of e-commerce. And kind of like what Biff said, like he's business to business. So Shopify, I wouldn't probably recommend business to business. It's definitely business to customer. And what I like about it is that there are about like 3 or 4 different plans. And I know like during this time of trying to get it starting with e-commerce, there is a 90-day trial, so you can try it and see if it works for you, if you have the time to even use e-commerce, or if it's something that you find interesting or want to do. I know that Shopify, you can use it in a ton of different ways. Like you can get its like cheapest price just to start selling through like your social media, like Facebook and Instagram. They do come with a free third-party selling integration. So once you start your website, you can start selling on Facebook, Instagram, and Amazon. And this is at no cost to you. And you can also move your entire POS system to Shopify using an iPad if that's what you want, and barcode. But what I like about it is you can kind of have the limit of what you want with your store. It's easy because it kind of walks you through on how to enter your products. It has a live integrated template that you can see when you're updating your template. And they do offer a high quality photo resource through, I think they call it stock photos, that you can use. So if you're not good at photography, it kind of covers the encoding. It kind of covers those areas that you might struggle with. I am by no means, I don't have like a huge professional setup. I run the front of the store and I run the e-commerce. And so for me, all of my information is like, how do you do all of this work as one person? And it sounds overwhelming, but if you take it one step at a time and start small and start growing your e-commerce, it definitely helps. And I'm just going to go ahead and upload a PDF file here, just kind of going over some of the resources that I use for like an everyday user. If I can find it here. 1 second. I didn't realize I'd run into this. Okay, there we go. So I go ahead and uploaded it. So I know Biff covered, some of the things like SEO and all of that. And what he means by that is basically like, how do you get on the top of the search engine? How do you compete with everybody? And that's where I'm really going to recommend Dave Meyer's workshop that they have, I think next week, is because that is the areas you kind of need to hire people for. those analytics, those algorithms, they take a lot of work to learn. And I can tell you, like, I'm not 100% successful, but I rely on traffic through my my store. So in every bag, like, I put a little like card saying like, hey, I have an online store, follow my social media. And I do a lot of promos, like giveaways for like more likes and sharing. And that's what I tell people is like, your e-commerce doesn't always have to be about spending out cash for advertising. You can remind like people on social media, like, comment, and follow on my Facebook, share posts. That is part of that algorithm. Being interactive on your social media is what gets your posts to the higher up, gets on other people's Facebook pages. So all the interaction through social media is some of that organic customer facing that you can get without paying anything. And I feel like if you are going to pay for e-commerce advertising, like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, you should definitely do that workshop, because if you do it wrong, you can spend a lot of money and end up getting nowhere with it. So that's that's what I like to put out there. Like, if you're gonna do that things, do with the small things first. Do with promoting your website with your local customers first. Doing it with that free advertising through your social media. Use the 90-day trial to set up your e-commerce, and then, you know, afford the $10 a month Shopify plan that helps you kind of like you know, work with your social media tools. So you're not like, you know, spending a ton of money on your POS system, your inventory system, and then you're on Shopify trying to have these like two different expenses. So it's in a way, and you can move everything over to Shopify if you want. That's what we do. We have 100% Shopify system. It manages your inventory. I have all these sales channels through Facebook, Instagram going through it. There's discount codes that you can apply. There's like free templates for your what kind of product you're selling. So they'll have some catered to like electronics or like retail. And then, like, you know, if you're more of like an informative, like a company, like for example, my mom, she has a travel business. We actually use WordPress for her company because that's where we give out information about the trips and the brochures and stuff. Now, Shopify doesn't really work with a travel business, I find, because we don't have a lot of inventory to sell through it. So, but that's the thing, is like, you can use Shopify and another system and have a low cost if that's what you truly want, because Shopify does have those options. And a nice thing about Shopify that they did is they offered a kind of in-store pickup with your e-commerce. And now, in the past, they used to require you to download third-party apps to have this in-store pickup option. But with COVID-19, they've integrated some new options so that you can have an in-store pickup option for some of those people that are still scared to go out and you know, and go around crowds. So it does help kind of those vulnerable people during this time. In the whole PDF, I have all of these free programs that will help you. I actually have a professional camera, but I take most of my product photos using my smartphone, and I edit them using like Lightroom and apps on my phone directly, because I am, like, you know, at times I am doing a lot of things alone. I don't have a lot of money to hire out a team for websites. And you know, e-commerce is highly competitive. It's not like you're competing with your local competition. You're competing with everybody on the internet. So it is one of the more difficult areas to get started in successfully. That's why I can say, like, you know, go to that webinar next week to learn how algorithms and the keywords and search engine optimization actually works. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you just lose a lot of money. And that's one of the areas I struggle with. Now, Shopify kind of has its own analytics. So it'll tell you like how many web page clicks you get, how much traffic you get, where it's coming from. And it kind of does that stuff that the Google Analytics does, but it kind of dumbs it down for the user-friendly person like me, who doesn't have that, you know, huge marketing background and all of those terms. That gets a little lost on me. But yeah, like I take my own photos even as a model. I have like a selfie stand. So I'm very more of the individual e-commerce for business person. But you know, if you do have the budget to kind of, you know, hire out for graphics and a web team to kind of do everything professionally and doing the marketing SEO, I would recommend it if you feel like that is going to do your business well. But because retail is so competitive online, and it's just really hard to compete with some of those Chinese stores. So, but I have no idea like if this is helpful or not, but I have this whole document here that will kind of go over more than what I can cover in 15 minutes. I felt like 15 minutes was just not enough for me to comfortably send someone out to actually be helpful to you, because you have to start somewhere. Our products, a month, I just got this question from Carrie. It does tell me I actually don't really pay attention to our inventory, because Shopify kind of does that for us. And then I have my mom that kind of manages more of the inventory in terms of for our accounting. So I don't really pay attention to the inventory flow. But I'm trying to see maybe I can get somewhere from last year, because we're a seasonal boutique. So we've kind of been closed down for a little bit. Let's see, like in July, so we had a total of, it seems like we had a total of 444 orders in our store and 2 online orders. I don't really have a good inventory. I'd really have to go through my analytics to give you a good answer, but that just tells you like how many transactions I've had, about 444 in the month of July, and 2 online. For shipping, Shopify actually has its own shipping integration. So we do use that because our entire system runs through Shopify. So we go through USPS. There is like options on there for UPS, FedEx. They do give us the other prices, but I usually pick the cheapest, which is USPS, and it has a tracking label. So I'll print my shipping label directly through Shopify, and then just drop it off at a post office and call it a day. Everything's all taken care of through it. So that is kind of one of the nice perks. But if you wanted to just do the cheaper route through Shopify and not have the shipping thing, you could just package your own packages separately and just mail them out however you please. So hopefully, if you have any more questions, I don't know.
No, thanks, Erin.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate that very much. We're going to pass the baton on to Chris. Chris just opened up Minnesota Makerspace in downtown Brainerd, and then he has also a design business. So Chris Smith, take it away.
Hey guys, tough acts to follow up. There's a lot of information there. I definitely don't have as much experience as Biff on the e-commerce side, but I have been a graphic designer for over 7 years, so I guess that's where I'm a little different than most small businesses, just because I kind of have that background to be able to do the website design myself. And so that's where I kind of stuck to WordPress, because I actually run, I think 10 sites right now, but I think only about 4 of them have e-commerce. And so basically I just started messing around with WooCommerce a little bit, and I found that it was really user friendly, mainly because if you do services or something like that, it's free. And then there's tons of plugins. I was actually going to share my screen here and kind of show you some of these plugins too. Now I know what you were talking about, Biff. It's kind of weird when you can't hear yourself. So let me know if I'm loud or quiet, I guess. But yeah, through WooCommerce, it's a free platform, which is great. But like Biff was saying, setting up e-commerce takes a lot of time if you want to do it correctly. If you're just kind of offering a service, like let's say you're a gutter installer or construction company, I'd almost recommend focusing on Google My Business and making sure that you have your Google business set up, so when there's local searches and people like that, that they find you. Because I don't know the statistics on it completely, but I'm gonna bet 90% of searches are definitely Google. So if you get that set up, you're already doing better off than the people that haven't done that, and there's quite a few of them. And I was actually going to show you that too, but first I'll show you these plugins. So what that led to is WooCommerce bookings. That's where you can kind of do the reservations and appointments and all that stuff for services. I personally use subscriptions, and memberships. And these prices, they look a little steep, but they're for a year. You can continue to use them longer than a year, but you lose support. So we'll see how that goes after a year. Maybe we'll revisit and I'll see if not paying for support works out or not. But memberships is pretty cool. For me, I'm a makerspace. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's kind of like a co-op tool workshop where you pay a monthly service to come in and use the tools, like a laser engraver, CNC machine, woodworking material, whatever. Obviously, with everything going on, I got to figure out how I can get a bunch of people in the little workshop touching the same tools and be safe still. So I'm kind of shifting gears to DIY kits and just retail. And that's where the e-commerce kind of comes in, and I have to really dive into that. So I feel the pain for everyone as well. And then kind of back to what Arn was saying about the keyword search and attending the seminar that Dave's going to be doing. I think that would be one of the most important things I would start with if you're going to do, especially if you're going to do the Google business, because you're going to want to make sure you're putting your money towards the right keywords, the right ads, so your business pops up. And it all comes down to getting people to your website or to your store. And that's like one of the most prominent things you can do. And then let me back up. And you could just go to google.com/business to like set up your own business page. And that's where I would start. But as you can see, it's just as easy as after you get it set up, you can just click on it and it starts giving you all these stats. Tells you how many searches directly. And I feel like for a lot of smaller business in Brainerd, I feel like this is a good start before you even dive into e-commerce. And the reason I'm talking about all this rather than e-commerce directly is because I feel like Biff and Arn did such a great job already talking about it. I think this is one thing to kind of add. Let's see what insights here. And that's where the keywords come in. So I don't know how much Dave will talk about all this stuff, but he'll show you, I'm sure. There's a Google keyword search for free, and you can find it. It's kind of hard to dig into, but you could find what searches are most prominent near you for your kind of business style and how they're finding you online. So I feel like that's a big thing to do and start. And then I'll kind of go back to me here. What else do I got here? I'm not as polished as Biff or Arn on my presentation. It kind of been chaotic here, finding out that I can open next week and wasn't really prepared to open that soon. Oh, I was going to talk about the shipping because I know a lot of people, after you do some sales, shipping is kind of the biggest pain I found. Getting the orders, setting up the store, that all takes time, but fulfilling the orders definitely takes a lot of time as well. We had to go through that with the Here for Good boxes. I helped set up the downtownbrainerd.org website and the e-commerce for that. And so also we had 100 boxes that we had to pick and fulfill. And I didn't have a label printer at the time, and to manually print all this stuff is kind of a pain. But I actually found this Rollo printer is $140, I think, but it automatically gets you the best pricing with their app and everything from USPS and UPS, and integrates right with WooCommerce. I could do all that. I'm sure it works without a certain website platform as well. So I would definitely look into shipping options too, whether you go with anything that Biff recommended or Arn, a Shopify. I'm pretty sure you can get something like Rollo. That's just one of many. I even think if you call FedEx and give them a hard time, you can get a free printer from them and some labels too, depending on how many sales you do daily. But I felt bad, so I didn't want to fib and say a bunch of sales, so I just bought this Rollo. But yeah, I guess if anybody has any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that's kind of all I had prepared to talk about.
Thanks, Chris. There was one question from Holly, and I'm not sure if we got to it or not. Holly was asking about loyalty programs, if any, what you recommend for brick and mortar use and applying it to like an e-commerce situation.
Yeah, I personally haven't done anything with loyalty programs, but I'm going to check their extensions here for WooCommerce. I'm sure there's stuff out there. I guess personally, maybe Biff knows something for loyalty. I haven't done anything other than subscriptions and memberships. But yeah, Biff.
Yeah, I've got a little insight on that. Possibly what you want to do, and this is one area where like Shopify, I believe Squarespace, I know Square does too. You could integrate your point of sale system with online sales too. We use Lightspeed personally here for our point of sale, and it has a whole, you can link that whole database to an online platform. So you can do it that way. And then I think I would integrate my loyalty rewards through my point of sale and then link it into my website, because I think it's more powerful just personally, just as I think about it, that it's an extension of what you're doing inside your shop. And really, I think all of us are we're kind of circling the wagon, and I know I didn't do a great job, and I wrote notes here to myself too, just on follow-up. I think that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, and we have to think of e-commerce not as its own thing. It's an extension of the conversation we're having with our customers. And Aaron and Chris both touched on that, but it is something that I think we even know in the store sometimes, like at Zeisers, like Nisswa, we're fortunate to have such an amazing location that we haven't had to really leverage our social media or email lists or all of that. And it's really taught us, well, that some of the work that even though we did the work and we weren't using it, that we were grateful right now, but we need, any way you can extend this as a tool or communication, it's really a communication. And I can't, just in my own experience, I cannot overstate the power of video right now too. So in your website, if this video is so much, people are, they're eager to see faces, and it doesn't need to be polished. If anyone, they know if anyone has a polished video right now, it's just a bunch of BS, because none of us are living in a polished world. If you think about it, I think that the real difficult thing of the whole COVID-19 right now is people liken it to being in war, but it's not war. In war, you could fight shoulder to shoulder with fellow soldiers, or you could be on the home front working in factories and doing that together. We're all isolated and we're going through the same feelings and emotions, and we're doing it alone, but we feel like we're only experiencing it ourselves. So the more we can put ourselves in our customers' feet, it is, I think, the better. And just being honest, any of this, even with a website, don't worry about it being perfect. Just get out there and do it, and do something, and be present for your customers. I think that's a big takeaway here. Sorry, I can get long-winded. I'm jazzed about this stuff. I live, sleep, drink this stuff, even in any time. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Biff. I appreciate the information. Chris, we have a question for you. It's from Donna at the Chamber. Would you recommend WooCommerce to a novice at web design?
Yeah, I think if you've dabbled in web design at least a little bit, and if you know how to move around in WooCommerce or WordPress, I definitely would recommend WooCommerce, just because it's free and it's really easy to install and try it. And you can get a whole e-commerce store up in a day with just a few items for free, and there's no monthly cost. It's just once you start getting into stuff like let's say you want to do a product bundle a couple of products together, or subscriptions, memberships, like something kind of specific, then that's where your costs start coming in with the WooCommerce. But yeah, I would recommend it.
Good. And just, Chamber is in the same boat as everyone else, trying to make ourselves known. And yeah, our own retail space, our gift shop, has been closed also. So getting ourselves out there with our own products is why we're asking questions and why we're attending trainings also, to get ourselves up to speed. So don't feel like you guys are in this all on your own. We're definitely all in it together, that's for sure. Do we have any other questions for Biff, Aaron, or Chris? I know we've had some chats going on the side link. So if you want to open up your chat button, you can see where Angelique was talking about Shopify. We've also had some Google discussion going on through there that Dave has provided. So if you have any information that you want to share on there, that's great. Also, I want to invite everyone to attend our next Blue Ox Success Series, which will be held on Tuesday. This next coming Tuesday, May 19th, it will be at 2 p.m. And Dave Meyer, who is with BusyWeb and then also with Google, a trainer with Google, will be doing a success series on how to improve your online store and increase sales. So I'll follow up with information on it with a link of how you can register for that. Otherwise, all of our information is available on our chamber website. So you just go to BrainerdLakesChamber.com and click on the events tab, and everything is there available for you to register on at any time.
Hey, Sue?
Yeah.
Dave is on with us. If Dave, are you able to say a couple things about the class on Tuesday and what you're planning to cover?
For sure. And thanks everybody that presented today. Biff, Aaron, Chris, all fantastic feedback and information from on the ground. And so I'm going to take that to not necessarily the next level, but the more here's how to level. And we're going to talk through how to set up a page if you have never had a e-commerce page before, and pivot into e-commerce, and or just take advantage of some of this downtime that we've got for the next couple of days, right? Before we all go in. And then I'm also going to talk about tips on Google My Business. So Chris, thanks for the tee up on that. And we're going to talk through how to do WordPress and WooCommerce, some video tips and basics, and basically just at the grassroots level, here's the things that you need to do to get up, to get online, and to get selling using the digital tools that are available for you for at least very inexpensive, if not for free. And so we'll talk through all of that next Tuesday, which is coming up very quickly. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave, for being here today too. And just to let all of you know, Dave is doing this for our chamber at no cost to us. And so we can then pass along a discount to all of you as well. And Dave actually has a home in Cross Lake, so it's great to, yeah. So thanks. Sue, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Paula. Another website that I strongly recommend everyone check out is mnretail.org. It's our Minnesota Retailers Association. They have some great information on reopening your business, some protocols that you will need to be following, some information on that. And then they're also doing a webinar, and it's free whether you're a member of the association or not. They just changed the date and time. It's now going to be held on Friday, May 15th at 11 a.m. and it's free. And I think it's about like a 45-minute webinar. And I strongly recommend that you join that to learn more information so you're well prepared with reopening your business. And I know some of the downtown Brainerd businesses are talking about having maybe limited hours, providing private shopping time by appointment only. So it's going to be kind of a mixed bag out there, I feel, for a while that people will be offering, which also plays another importance into having e-commerce and having information available on your website of what your products are, what's available. And just like Biff said, just, put information out there, give them, who to contact and how to proceed with purchasing something, at least give them the opportunity to purchase items online or to purchase them by calling directly and having them shipped to them. Any money coming through the door is money in your pocket versus not. So I feel it's important to you to learn what to do. Do we have any other questions before we end our webinar here?
Sue, there's not a question, but well, I have one thing. I want to commend Chris and the Downtown Brainerd group for pivoting really quickly and doing your boxes. That was really great to see, and I'm so glad they sold out. And I see there's a whole nother round, which is awesome. And then I also saw that Biff set up a text with the word webinar to 218-963-2404 to give it a whirl. So thanks, Biff, for doing that. Thanks all of you for being here. So that's all I've got, Sue.
Okay, and then I see that Dave gave us some more information there. Yep, and also the state, Dave has some great information that the mngov.org, safe work on that. And like I shared at the beginning, that the chambers, local chambers and the Crow Wing County and all of our healthcare businesses have been working together to create Lakes Country cares.org or .com, excuse me. And what is available on there are templates to help you with to create your COVID preparedness plan. And with that template, once you get it filled out, the health department portion of the Crow Wing County has offered their services to look at your preparedness plan, see if they have any recommendations for you with making it even better, and provide that back to you. And then we're also posting these plans, the businesses that have plans, on that website, so that consumers can see what businesses have their plans posted and what they are, because we feel that showing those to consumers and showing that your business is safe is going to be helpful with gaining their trust back and gaining their sales back. This is something that the state is requiring you to do, but it's nothing that you need to submit to the state. It's just something that you need to have on at hand as your business, and to train your employees in once they come back to work with what your COVID preparedness plan is and what the new practices are within your business. So do we have any other questions for everyone or information to share? Well, I definitely want to put a thank you to Biff, Chris, and Aaron. Thank you so much for your time. Thanking you for sharing information with us. We certainly appreciate it. We hope that everything goes well with you and your businesses, and everyone who joined us here today. I hope that everything goes well with you as well. If you have any questions for us, definitely connect with any chamber staff and we'll help you as best we can. And just to put a little thank you to there for your chamber membership, and also so you know, with Google searches, being a chamber member also boosts your Google search just by being a member, because as a chamber we do purchase a excuse me. No, I don't have COVID, I have allergies. So you rise above everybody else just because of chamber membership also. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and I will follow up with more information, and hopefully you can join us next Tuesday with Dave Meyer. Thanks everyone.